Hello everybody, doing a book tag today, and this one in particular I think is pretty good for all you little mood readers out there just like me. Ooh, this looks good. Yeah, I'll get to it at some point. I saw this on a channel called Robert G. Reader. I am subscribed to that channel. However, the creator, I don't know that they have a channel. I didn't look, but it was a link to a blogger, but appears to be an author named Liesl Brunner, and I did not check it out when I set this up. So I'll put a link in the description if you wish to see it. There are indeed 8 prompts. The first one, a classic book that you have been meaning to read forever, but haven't read yet. This year I've read Frankenstein for the first time, and that was surprisingly outstanding. I read Moby Dick, which was, it had these interesting parts, and certainly the way it starts is great, and I did a video on how progressive it was for its time, at least what it seemed like for the time. Maybe it wasn't at the time. But it was just a mess of things I didn't need to read. It was just too long a book for its content, and especially since, it's supposed to be about Ahab and his obsession over the whale. Well, that's a little bit at the end, and that's it. Oh well. I've read Dracula, I've read Sherlock Holmes. What I have not read that I want to read, I never did read Through the Looking Glass or Alice in Wonderland. I seem to recall reading some piece of it as a young child in school, but I don't believe we read the whole book as a class. I don't remember it. I've seen parts of the Disney animated feature, but I haven't seen it start to finish. I did see one Alice in Wonderland film, gosh, I don't know when that was, but it was before 2010, some CGI and stuff, and I remember liking it, but never did read the original novel. I have also never read any Edgar Allan Poe, and have always wanted to. I don't own anything from them, about them. I've certainly, The Raven, I've probably read some portion of it, but I haven't read much of Edgar Allan Poe's work, his mysteries, anything like that, and I always did want to. Number 2, a book on your shelf you have not read yet. These I had to be particular about, because some of these questions can really overlap, and I could almost switch books around, but I think I got this one. For this question, I'm going to give you 3. So I bought this wonderful thing, The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows by John Coney, and I flipped through a little bit of it, and the reason I got it is because of this word that came up, had a little internet fame surrounding it, and that is called sonder. These are not official dictionary words. They're just made up for things that we didn't know we needed a name for. Sonder, noun, the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited craziness. An epic story that continues invisibly around you, like an anthill sprawling deep underground, with elaborate passageways to thousands of other lives that you'll never know exist, in which you might appear only once as an extra sipping coffee in the background, as a blur of traffic passing on the highway, as a lighted window at dusk. That's awesome. But I just never got around to. I think the first day I read a few definitions, but I haven't read it cover to cover. A couple others. I am indeed a bit of a cyberpunk fan, and so here we have Cyberpunk 2077 after the video game. No coincidence, a novel by Rafat Kosik, right there, and D.L. Young, Cyberpunk City, the Machine Killer. What a clever title. So some cyberpunk that I read really do get into human condition topics. There are some that don't really do that much, but they're still just so awesome. One, Escapology by Waram, that was good, but it has a bad sequel. But there's one thing I love in a good cyberpunk book, and that's hacking. That's somebody plugs something into their head, jacks in, and goes into either a virtual reality or some kind of abstract algorithm mathematical function, and goes in and breaks into something without somebody's permission. And I'm hoping that's what's in these two. Despite that, there are some books that I'm now getting in my head as a mood reader that I'm going to read this coming year. I'm getting through Dresden right now, and I might have that done in a week, and then back to some science fiction, which I'll get to later in the questions. And but some of these I'm actually finally thinking I'm going to get around to reading soon. Prompt number 3, a book that you recently got that you haven't read yet. So recently, I had heard about, still got the sticker on it, The Art Thief, A True Story of Love, Crime, and Dangerous Obsession by Michael Finkel. And so this will be good. It's supposedly on booktube. This is nonfiction November, but I don't know if I'm going to get to this. But this is going to get read at sometime in the next, give me a couple months. And if this is what I think it is, it's about this dude who, it wasn't like he was a high-tech jewel thief. He'd walk into these old museums where there's no real security, and he'd just pick a painting off the wall and take it home. $2 billion worth, and that'll be his story. And, you know, spoiler alert, it made the news, he got caught. But that will be, so a lot of these I think I am going to read soon. Number 4, a book you had forever, but haven't read yet. So, this is The Adventures of the Stainless Steel Rat and A Stainless Steel Rat is Born by Harry Harrison. And I ran into these 2 books in this used bookstore that no longer exists, but and it's like, oh man, I'm going to get these. 1997, I think, is the year I bought these, and I have never read them. So that's quick math, 27 years, almost 3 decades I've had these books and just didn't get to them yet. What's this say here? Interstellar Outlaw. When the legendary Special Corps finally corners the one man in the universe that no prison can hold, they have 2 choices. Either kill him, no easy task, or hire him for one-way assignments to the weirdest and deadliest planets in the galaxy. One of these is a short story collection. This says the final volume in the saga of James DeGritz explores his humble beginnings as a petty criminal in the backward planet of Biddleheaven. So I'll have to figure out what the correct order is, or even if these are all the books, because if whatever's the first one, I'll read that, and then we'll go from there. But I think I'm finally going to read these this year. Some little evil part of me says, wait 3 years so you can call it 3 decades. But no, I'll get to it. Number 5, a book a friend recommended that you haven't read. Well, so poor me, I don't have any real life friends. I do have family in the area, but they don't read, and or read much, I should say. And so on Roy Reads Everything, because I'm doing Dresden, I have a whole stack. Can I get it on there? There's my whole stack of Dresden, 16, it's a bunch of books, done a video for each one. And so here's another occult detective book. I love this cover so much. This is by John Linwood Grant, The Strange Encounters of Justin Margrave and Unkindness of Shadows. So this is I believe a short story collection. I don't know that he is really an arcane sorcerer of some kind himself, or he's just someone who solves a problem. I almost think that's very Johnny Depp looking. And so I was so into it. I was doing Dresden, now I'm going to do this, and it's occult stuff. And well, the thing is, I'm on book 16, and book 17 of Dresden comes next, and then I'm kind of done with fantasy for a little bit, and we're going to jump back into science fiction. So this one's going to get a little rest, but the next time I go fantasy, it won't be the very next one in that realm, but it'll be at the top of the list. And I think, speaking of which, number 6, a book you are procrastinating on. I think these are a couple here. So The Forest of Vanity and Valor by A.P. Beswick. book one of the Lavandria series. If I'm not mistaken, this is a alt Robin Hood, and there's a whole series of older stories like that that get this treatment. An aggressive debt collector banished from the kingdom. Now his life depends on his ability to help the less fortunate. So that this is going to be in there somewhere when I next turn to fantasy. And I have read Murderbot, and I know Martha Wells. It's been sitting here for a while. It's got some dust on it. The Witch King. I've heard very good things about this, so this will also be one of the first things I get back to when I return to fantasy reading. I didn't know you were a demon, you idiot. I'm the demon. All right, that's enough. When we get to it. Number 7, the next book on your TBR. So I'm going to do 2 because these, after I get done with Dresden this week, these are going to be the next 2 books. 1, is it dusty in here? I got dust. The Archimedes Engine Exodus, Become the Traveler by Peter F. Hamilton. So I read some Peter F., or tried to, I should say, some Peter F. Hamilton last year, and I wind up did not finish. So I'm taking a little risk here, but this sounds pretty darn good. 40,000 years ago, humanity fled a dying Earth, traveling in massive arc ships. These brave pioneers spread out across the galaxy to find a new home. And so I think what happens here, I'll read this again when I make my transition, but they get to a new world, and it's a dystopia there, and they have to learn how to deal with it. The one after that, I can't wait to get to this. So, Sci-Fi Scavenger is where I saw this at. Natural History by Justina Robson. If you could be anything you wanted, would you be willing to pay the ultimate price? So, this is some kind of a space opera transhumanism book. This appears to be some kind of because like this right here is a living spaceship, and there's some kind of human mind in it. It doesn't have a human body in it. It's that sort of book. And so nice cover and right up my alley, it sounds like. So I know we all like to, there's a reason something catches our attention. The cover, the description, ooh, that's right up my alley. And so so this one like checks a bunch of boxes to something I think, ooh, I'm gonna like this. Of course, that has happened before, and I wind up not liking it, but much of the time, something really hits home, and I have a feeling about this one. And so that brings us to the end of the 8th tag. Is just to tag people, which I sometimes do, but sometimes they do them, sometimes they don't. Some people don't want to be bothered. So if you are watching this, go ahead and do it. I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, the person I got it from didn't tag me, so I had fun with it. That's a good one. Easy one today. And so a couple of days for Dresden 16, and then maybe around Sunday, Dresden 17, and then back to some science fiction. That is my plans. Thank you very much. See you in a couple of days. Bye-bye now.